On June 4th, 1942, the Pacific lay silent, too silent. Beyond the horizon, 4 Japanese aircraft carriers, the pride of the Imperial Navy, were slicing through the waves like ghosts on the sea. They carried not just planes and bombs, but the weight of Japan's war ambitions. Their mission? Strike Midway. Destroy America's last carriers and force a U.S. surrender before the year ended. It was supposed to be flawless, precise, coordinated, unstoppable. But something had gone terribly wrong. Weeks earlier, American codebreakers hidden in windowless rooms in Pearl Harbor and Australia had cracked Japan's naval encryption. They knew the target. They knew the date. And now, they were waiting. 3 U.S. carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and the hastily repaired Yorktown, were lying in ambush northeast of Midway. Admiral Chester Nimitz was gambling everything. If the Japanese spotted them first, the Pacific War might end with Japan in control. If they didn't, America might get one chance to flip the war upside down. At 4:30 a.m., Japan launched its first wave, over 100 aircraft roaring toward Midway, ready to erase the island from the map. As they approached, the skies erupted. Anti-aircraft gunners fired blindly at first, tracers ripping through the dawn. Japanese pilots dove low, dropping bombs with deadly precision. Hangars exploded, fuel tanks ignited, yet somehow Midway held the line. Through the smoke, American bombers scrambled, outdated, slow-moving planes armed with torpedoes and hope. What followed was chaos. For 2 hours, wave after wave of U.S. planes attacked WWII, Japan's elite carrier force. Most were shot down. Many never released their payloads. It looked like suicide. And yet they kept coming. While Japanese fighters shredded the low-flying torpedo bombers, something else was happening higher in the sky. Something unrepeatable in naval history. More than 50 SBD Dauntless dive bombers slipped in undetected through a gap in Japanese air coverage. At 10:22 a.m., they found their targets. 3 Japanese carriers, Kaga, Akagi, and Soryu, fully exposed. Flight decks packed with planes refueling and rearming. Bombs stacked beside torpedoes. Fire suppression systems offline. Japan's mightiest fleet was more vulnerable than it had ever been, or ever would be again. From 20,000 feet above the Pacific, the American bombers dove. One by one, they fell from the sky like steel spears aimed not just at ships, but at history itself. Kaga was the first to die. Bombs ripped through its deck, igniting a chain reaction that obliterated the carrier in seconds. Then Akagi, Admiral Nagumo's flagship, took a direct hit, its command tower torn apart in a fiery blast. On the flank, Soryu was struck almost simultaneously. In 5 minutes, 3 carriers, the heart of Japan's naval power, were burning wrecks. Entire crews were consumed by fire, months of planning erased in moments. But the battle wasn't over. One carrier remained, Hiryu, and aboard her, Rear Admiral Tamon Yamaguchi refused to surrender. That afternoon, he launched a desperate counterattack. His first wave hit Yorktown with 3 bombs, setting her ablaze. She survived, barely. A second wave struck hours later. 2 torpedoes slammed into her hull. After surviving Pearl Harbor and Coral Sea, Yorktown finally went down. Her sacrifice wasn't in vain. Enterprise and Hornet had already launched another wave, this time aimed at Hiryu. At 5:00 p.m. they struck. 4 bombs smashed into her decks. Fires raged. Ammunition detonated deep inside. Yamaguchi, refusing evacuation, stood beside his captain and went down with his ship. By June 5th, all 4 Japanese carriers were gone. Over 3,000 sailors were dead. A decade of Japanese naval air power was shattered in a single day. But the true significance of Midway wasn't just the death toll. It was the shift. Midway wasn't just a Japanese defeat. It was the moment the U.S. Navy seized control of the Pacific War. Japan would never again launch an offensive of that scale. The myth of Japanese invincibility was broken. And here's what most textbooks forget. Midway wasn't won by brute force. It wasn't won by numbers. It was won by intelligence, timing, and one impossible stroke of luck. A 5-minute window when everything aligned and the unthinkable became reality. So next time someone asks how a single battle can change the course of an entire war, tell them about Midway, about a few dive bombers, a fatal mistake, and a burning sea where empires began to fall.